My name is Alana McLeod. I am the co-owner of the business Emunah Custom Solutions with my husband, and we joined in collaboration with the Faizabad Regional Community Complex as they showcase their Christmas virtual fair on the 29th of November 2020. Okay, so my business started about 20 years ago when I had my first son. Previous to that, I was working in the banking industry and I really enjoyed my season there. But with the coming of my first child, I began to be increasingly unhappy with the schedule that I had to keep and the fact that I really wasn't enjoying my son's growth and development. I didn't enjoy what had become of that season. So my husband and I made a decision that I would leave the working world for a season with the intent to get back out there. So I had now re-entered or entered into a season where some would call being a housewife. There would of course have been disadvantages to that decision, but I do not have any regrets about it because I have not been a spectator to my child's or my children because I had all my boys and then decided to go back out. So during the years that I would have been a housewife, I was able to really enjoy my children and also get to enjoy some of the things that probably you just want to do. You enjoy doing crafts, you enjoy doing all these other lovely things, and I just fell in love with drapery. I know I always liked drapery. From a child, it's only now when I reflect on what I would look at in television shows, I realized my hand was always in it. As some people would say, I told them I would look at television shows, and while everyone is looking at the plot and the drama, I would be looking at the drapery and the set design. I would be looking at the colors that were used to create whatever story they're trying to tell. I really enjoyed that. I love to look at westerns and to see the drapery that was used in those different settings, to look at the soap operas and to see the color scheme, to look at the comedy shows. It was just fascinating to me. I mean, I would listen to the stories as well in terms of the plot, but I was drawn to the colors. I was drawn to the way the fabrics would flow. I always loved that. So one of the things I always wanted to do was drapery. And when my son was born, my first son, I went and I started learning to do it, and I did encounter some challenges, but the love for it never left. I continued to develop my skill, and I started to do for people by them just visiting my home and seeing what I would have done in my home. And since then, I have never looked back. Yes, we have had difficult seasons. I have had made changes along the way. And when my last son entered, let's say about standard 4, we began to very, very intentionally prepare for me to re-enter the world of work. And the decision was made that it would be in this form. Little did we know that, Petrotrin would have taken its leave of all its workers. So all of these things would have had a play in how things would have played out for me and for my business. So my husband's departure from Petrotrin also had a part to play in Emunah's forming, because he made a decision at that point that he would enter the world of business. And so Emunah was born. The name Emunah means faith, and our decision has been to step out in faith and to trust God for this new season in our life. If you look at the logo, it's an arrow, and there are 3 fletchings on the arrow which represent my 3 children. And just as with an arrow and the motion of an arrow being drawn back to release, I see my business, I see all that I do as a physical representation of my legacy for my children to take them forward in life. And that's Emunah Custom Solutions. Okay, so this is one of my most interesting pieces for me on display that I have here for you all to see. It's quite simple a piece, but the level of detail that has been added to it is what gives the level of interest, which is what I like about it. So it's called a shaped valance or a serpentine valance, simply because of the shape that it takes. So some people call it serpentine, some people just call it a shaped valance. But what I like about the treatment is the level of detail that I've been able to capture within this treatment. Now essentially, this treatment was supposed to have been mounted on a Dauphine rod. A Dauphine rod is a flat rod, and in the way the rod is, when it goes on, the treatment goes onto the rod, it would actually, the rod pocket area would mimic what is taking place down here in the frill. but because of the area and the type of rod I use, you wouldn't get that exact look here, but you can get an idea of what I was trying to create. Once it's on a Dauphine rod, the type of rod is going to give me the exact effect that I wanted to create. So I love this piece simply because it really draws out a lot of the elements of color and design that I think it's really intrinsic and it's really beautiful. Everything is beautiful in its own space, and that's what I like about this. It's a simple treatment in terms of its shape, but the level of detail that comes in with the frills and the cording and the maltese, the rosette up there. All of these come together to create something that is, as I consider, a work of art. This is a top balance, another very beautiful and simple treatment, in my opinion, that can be used to create a very unique and cohesive space in your home. I choose to use very muted colors, a lovely plum going along with cream. Really enjoyed working on this piece as well. Okay, so this is a Victorian balance, and what I like about this one is that the fabric is used on both sides. So what would have been considered the right side or the wrong side? There is no right side and wrong side in drapery. It's the side that you want to use, the side that works for you. So we use one side to the front and we use the other side for the rod pocket and for the insides of the trumpets. And that's what I like about this treatment, the Victorian balance. And this one here is what is very popularly known as the toga. This one is the bell balance, very popular as well, very well loved by a lot of clients, and it's used here with a fringe, a pre-bought or store-bought fringe. We have this here, and also we have a contrasting a cord that has been added at the top of the rod pocket area to add that level of detail, all right, to complement the color scheme of the yellows, blues, and creams. So this is the ascot balance, and it's also a very lovely treatment, and there is a lot that can be done with this treatment. So we see here in this particular specimen, there is a cording that has been added at the base as well as at the header area, and because of the size of the cording, it gives me the opportunity to work with the header area and to give it that lovely ruffle that goes on up there and to draw your eye to that level of detail. And then of course the tassels that have been added gives you that beautiful ending of there, a nice shape to come together to bring the piece together, the ascot balance. Okay, so this piece here, this specimen, it's called the tabbed treatment. It's really made ideally for a decorative pole rod again. What I like about this piece is the level of detail again that we can create when we take the colors from the decorator fabric and we draw it out up into the banding at the top as well as to the base. And we have two pieces of cord, two different sizes that have been added to the base as well as to the top, and then we've covered buttons. So we draw in all of those elements, and if you look at the tabs closely, you will see the sort of melangen color. We took that tab up there, that color, and we put it into the stripes that went at the tab. So the tabs are striped, but the melangen color was an actual piece of fabric that was added to the stripe to draw your eye into that color. So it all comes together beautifully to create the finished piece. Okay, so this is just just an example of how you can add a little more detail to what people may consider to be simple panels. So we can add a level of detail by having a band added at the edge. So we call this an edge banded panel, and clients can choose to use this as an option so that they have a little more detail. They may not want to have something elaborate at the top, and they just wanted to have panels, and they can have detail added onto the panels by having an edge band attached to it. Okay, and this is our final piece we have, specimen on display, and this is also another option for clients when they want to have detail added onto their panels. So you can have a band again, but the band is not at the edge, the band is set inside, so we call it an inset banded panel. And it's, as you can see, a very beautiful creation, adds a little bit of a framing effect to the panel, and you enjoy your space. Okay, so with regard to the cost of the items, it really varies based on the needs of the client. So we would have a basic template in terms of our costing, and our price would either go up based on the level of detail in the treatment that is required. If the product is lined or unlined, because most of the panels we would line them, and if it's lined with cotton, or if the panel is lined with blackout, all of those things would add to the costing, as well as to the number of wicks that would be needed at the window. The number of wicks that would be needed would determine the cost of the item. So we're talking in terms of the size of the window, the amount of fabric that would be needed. We will be working with the lengths, the level of detail, and of course we said lined or unlined. Thank you for visiting with us at Emunah Custom Solutions. We look forward to serving you in our community, and you can contact us via phone, WhatsApp, email, or Facebook. The information is provided on the screen at the end of this video. God bless you and have a Merry Christmas.